Hi, good afternoon. Kirk McDow here, professional coach, business consultant. Um, I'm videoing, Facebooking live from New Orleans, and usually that's a wonderful, warm, humid, hot experience for me. But it's literally ice on the streets outside. If you're in Austin, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, welcome from cold, icy, windy New Orleans. Hey, so the reason I'm reaching out to you today is on Saturday, just a few days from now. Just a few days from now. Today's Wednesday, right? So just checking with myself. So Saturday is the Empowering Austin Now workshop, and the theme is creativity. And this is one of a series of live Facebooks I'm doing related to creativity. And first, let me just say a slightly different creativity than you might first expect. I am a musician. I've been playing music professionally for 40 years or so, in addition to being a coach. And so I consider myself a creative person, an artistic person, right? But that's not the creativity that we're talking about today, that I'm presenting as food for thought, food for inquiry. The creativity I'm talking about is creativity at the level of your life, like having a created life. Creativity like you being the author of your life, you having a say in what's in your life and what's not in your life and who's in your life and the experiences and the qualities and the moments and so forth and so on, how you spend your time and what conversations you're having and with whom and all of that. So the creativity I'm talking about is really creativity at the level of your life. Like, what are you creating that your life is? Now, if you feel kind of caught or like I uncovered something, you could take some comfort in that really pretty much no one is really actively creating their life the way I'm talking about it. And not like no one, but it's unusual, it's uncommon, right? And so that's really what I want to talk about. And so one thing, so starting there, right? The creativity, we're talking about creativity and creativity at the level of, what are you creating for your life? What are you creating that you are? What are you creating that you're up to? The narrative, the adventure, the backstory of your life, and so most people don't create that. Most people just have a relationship to who they are. Like, I am this way and I'm that way. I'm cranky, I'm creative, short attention span, etc. Right? And so that might be one way you could relate to yourself. And there's an automatic quality to it. Like, you may have been relating to yourself that way for a very long time, right? Hasn't. If it was created, it's been a while. Now it's this automatic thing, somebody asks you who you are or what you're like, and you have an immediate automatic answer, right? So that would not be created, right? It just pops right out as like a pattern or something you said before, something familiar, which is the opposite of something created in this case, right? And so you might look at another question, like, what are you doing here? What are you doing with your life? Like, what are you up to? And for a lot of people, it really is like day to day. What people are up to is getting their family taken care of, getting rent paid, getting food on the table, real basic, important, critical, non-optional stuff that is time consuming and sometimes challenging, right? And so if I ask you what you're up to, you might have a question, you might have an answer like that, getting the bills paid, same old, getting it done, working on my, making sure my family's taken care of or whatever, right? And then, there may be some backstories to your life, like my childhood was kind of non-traditional and, so somewhat circumstantial, for me. And it used to be that I had a narrative or a backstory of my life that, I would be rather dramatic and hand over the forehead, and this happened and that happened, and oh my gosh, didn't I turn out so well? That kind of thing, right? Or something like that. But again, there's an automatic quality to it, right? Somebody presses a button and the tape comes out, the music comes out. Selection A12 is the story of Kirk's childhood, and A13 is the story of, whatever, Kirk's adolescence, so whatever it is, right? But there's an automatic quality. You press a button and a story comes out. So again, that's not created. It's not creative in this particular scenario, in this case, right? So now, what if all right, so we've got that, right? So I'm suggesting that for most people, if you're asked, and you can just look for yourself right now, if you're asked, who are you, or, what are you up to, what are you doing with your life, or something like that, just kind of look and see what's the automatic pull, like what response is immediately there, right? And so I'm going to take a little segue here in the conversation. And so I want to keep all that right there, right? This idea that what we're talking about is a creative life, or creativity. And you can just look for yourself, but I'm gonna say that in most cases, right, people have a automatic, unthought out sort of standard, non-created responses to questions like, who am I, and what am I here for, and what am I up to, and so forth. All right, so that's that, right? So the next piece is, I'm going to suggest to you that what's possible for you, or scratch that, what you see as possible for you. So what you see as possible for you, in your imagining what's possible for you, like what's available for you, this kind of relationship, this kind of career, this kind of income, this kind of quality of life, this kind of career, just whatever you think is available. In other words, the limitations you've imposed upon yourself, right, are a function of how life occurs for you. So let me say that again. What you perceive to be possible and available for you in your life, personal and professional and everything else, right, is a function of how you see the world, how the world lands on you, how the world occurs for you, how events and people, look to you, right? So, for example, if you had always been around terrible marriages, like maybe your parents and relatives and friends and neighbors, right? You could very easily come out of childhood and adolescence with a very clear understanding that marriages don't work, right? And then by extension, a married life, or being happily married, or is not going to be possible for you because marriages don't work, and you've got proof from your childhood because everywhere around you was marriages that don't work, right? And then so you can see that how the world occurs for you in this case is that marriages don't work. Conclusion, I'm not going to be happily married. And then so you can see that happily married or beautiful marriage is no longer on the menu for you in this case because of how marriage occurs for you. See? And it's not true that marriages don't work, and it's not true that they do work. They just are what they are, and they're not what they're not, and people make of them what they will, right? Sometimes something beautiful, sometimes not so much, right? And so you can see right there, right? You had an experience, you created an opinion, the world looks a certain way. Marriages are difficult. Marriages don't work. Therefore, I'm not going to have this wonderful, beautiful marriage. Therefore, it's not possible for me, right? And so literally the occurring, the choice that I made up, or how I'm letting myself see the world, absolutely dictates what's possible and not possible. Do you see? I had a client who created being connected, and one of her commitments is to be connected in her family, like be at home in her family, right? And have being connected be the source of her power and results in work, at her job, career, right? And so there was a time when being connected looked impossible, especially with her family, and that was been her experience. She's 3 kids, long marriage, beautiful family, and there's experience for her of not being connected. And everywhere she looked in her marriage, and for the last decade or two, what was there was not connected, not connected, not connected, right? So how the world looked for her is connected is not on the menu, right? And then right after that, it's actually not on the menu. It's not possible because you've made it, she's made it not possible for herself, right? So it's a little bit of work on her part. Fun conversations for me, a little bit of work on her part. She's had a total breakthrough in being connected in her family, like she's at home in her family for the first time since she can remember, and she's killing it at work, crushing it at work, being connected. It's beautiful, right? So in this case, right, being creative, right, is an access to results, great outcomes, both personally and professionally, for my client, right? She created, right, this creativity workshop, she created being connected. That's an act of creation. And then inside of being connected, other things were possible for her that were no longer possible, that weren't possible before, right? Things were possible that were not possible. Did anything happen out in the world? No. She just simply altered how the world occurred for her, and something new became possible. Do you see? So I'm going to start to wrap this up, okay? So we're talking about creativity. We're not talking about artistry necessarily, right? We're talking about creativity at the level of, you could actually create how the world occurs for you, how people and situations occur for you, how your history occurs for you. You could get to work on how your future occurs for you, right? That would be an act of creation, one that makes all the difference in the world, all the difference in the world. Okay, so in just a few days, Saturday the 20th, right, South Austin, I've got a link right here to get you sorted out and in the right place at the right time. There's 5 or 6 speakers all speaking about creativity. They're all awesome. I'll be there. I'll be the first one, so do not be late. And then I'd love for you to come up and say hello to me and let me know that you saw me, on this live Facebook. I'd like to just kind of get a sense of who I'm reaching and if it's making a difference. Okay, so, and then additionally, so I'm going to do a quick commercial for myself. So additionally, I'm a coach in town, business consultant. I specialize in the areas of romance and transformational selling. Oddly, I've got a whole amazing paradigm for selling that's transformational and uplifting and perfect for entrepreneurs and consultants and coaches and so forth. Anyway, I can be reached at kirkmcdow.com. I do this thing called the Challenge Call, and right now I'm still giving it away for free, a 30-minute conversation. I promise you a new future. I promise you a new future and something that's important to you, right? And I don't mess around, and I deliver all my promises, and you can look me up and check me out. But anyway, I'd love to speak with you. I'd love to offer you a challenge call. It's 30 minutes, promise you a new future. You can find me at kirkmcdow.com. And right on that webpage, by the way. You can get it right on my calendar. You can get right on my calendar. Super awesome. All right. Well, it looks like Lewis just showed up, and I'm just leaving. So nothing personal, Lewis. I'll see you Saturday, brother. Okay. All right. This was fun. Thanks, guys.